Hey there, guys. Welcome to Harry Dating Convos. I'm your host, Harry Wilmington. This is the show where we talk about dating things and we talk about how to be better with women so you can actually get the ones that you want. Pretty simple. I'm Harry Wilmington, and today we're going to be talking about how to treat the girl that you want like the one that you don't want. Now, this may sound confusing because you're like, why would I do that? If I want a girl, why would I treat her like a girl I don't want? And I don't mean that in the sense of like you treat her like trash or you throw her to the side. But it's interesting how a man's brain will go and think about a woman in certain ways when he's highly interested versus when he's just kind of like, to a girl. Because I found this to be true in my journey that I noticed early on the girls that I wasn't putting a lot of pressure on, I wasn't darn near halfway trying to start conversations with, wasn't trying to call and text all the time, were the very ones that were chasing after me. And then I found later on that when I did those same things to women that I was interested in, they also ended up liking me as well. And yet, men continue to think that they need to treat the women that they want differently in order to get them. And I have a great example of what I'm talking about today because there was a guy on Reddit that actually did two posts. He did one post talking about how he dated this one girl and went on 5 dates with her, and she was the one that he thought was going to be the one. And after 5 dates, she said, nope, not happening anymore, no longer interested, see ya. So now he's dating a new woman, and he's not all that into her, so he's not putting nearly as much pressure and attention on her. And as a result, this girl is like all over him. And I think it's a great example to show you guys so that way you'll get into the habit of understanding why it is that you need to be thinking about women that you actually want in terms of how would you treat them if you didn't want them? And then we're going to talk about what that looks like. So we're going to get into all that. By the way, guys, for more information about women, dating, relationships, and how to get them, you can go to harrywilmington.com and check out my Get Girls Academy. It is the collection of all the things I put together over the years as it pertains to dating, from my How to Get Women online dating program to my Top Secret Dating Blueprint about how to go from dating to getting into a relationship within the span of 3 months. All that stuff is housed at the website, all right? Also, for you guys that are now part of the Get Girls Academy, I'll be holding a special get-together online through Zoom tomorrow, which you're watching this on, October 30th. It'll be tomorrow's Halloween-ish, so maybe Friday. Possibly Friday. We'll do it Friday. We're going to do a get-together on Friday afternoon just to kind of talk about things. You can ask me any questions you want, and I'll be happy to answer them, all right? So with that said, let's get into what we're talking about today. So let me pull this up to the screen here. Where is the one I want to use? I think it's this one here. Here we go. So what I'm going to show you here is this guy did 2 different posts. So in this first post, he was talking about this girl that he dated, went on 5 dates with, had a great time, and then he lost her. And so more so in the second post, he's going to talk about the things that he was doing with this girl that, in my humble opinion, resulted in him losing the woman. So let's go through this post first here. So in this post, this guy says, he titled it, "She Stopped Being Interested After 5 Dates." So he said, I'll make a long story short. So he's 22, girl's 22. They met on Hinge about 3 weeks ago. We both live in London. She ticks every single one of my boxes and more. She's incredibly attractive in every way, and her morals and values are perfect. Pause. He's saying this about the girl after only 5 dates. 5 dates is not enough time to get the totality of what this girl's about. So you're assuming based on 5 dates, she has these morals and these values. People can hide how they actually are for like the first 6 months of a relationship. So really you should be saying like, I'm seeing some really cool things about her, still getting to know her, but so far things seem pretty on the up and up. And having this viewpoint allows you to have a more level head when you're dating, so you don't get overly obsessed and start making the wrong moves. So then he says, we had 5 incredible dates, the best dates I've ever been on in the space of about 2 weeks, which were all mutually suggested. Pause, because I actually didn't see this part earlier, but he said they had 5 dates in the span of 2 weeks. Now, this is an important thing for you guys to see that have never heard of burnout. You're thinking, I should be able to call her every day, talk to her every day, and see her as much as I want to, and she should be totally cool with it if she likes me. But even a woman that is initially showing high interest, you got to understand, women need time to really build up their interest in a more solidified state. So when you're asking a woman to go out with you 5 different times in 2 weeks, that's almost like he saw her almost every other day for the first 2 weeks. Is it any wonder then that she would eventually feel burnout? And so I try to stress this to you guys, because sometimes guys like, well, she should just like me and do whatever and be able to see me. But the way women build attraction is different than guys. We see a woman we like and just automatically have all these feelings, but we're not the ones that look out for our safety. We're not the ones that have to look out for, like, is this girl going to like, I mean, we're looking for like women being able to trust them and stuff like that. But in terms of like really having to worry about things like, you know, threats to her, to our livelihood and stuff like that, that's what women have to deal with. And so they need time to see consistency in you. And they also need time away from you, so they have the time to think that it's their decision to choose you. 5 dates in 2 weeks is not going to make a woman feel like she has the choice to choose you. It's going to make her feel like she's being pressured to choose you. And this is what can cause a woman to lose interest after a short amount of time. So then he says, I didn't feel it was going too quickly at all, as we both clearly enjoyed each other's presence as we kept meeting up after work and making time for each other. Now, here's where guys start to lie to themselves, because I've heard too many guys say, well, she seemed to be cool with whatever I was putting forth, and therefore she must be okay with it. So for example, I mean, she doesn't seem to be bothered that I text her every day, so it's totally cool that I do it. Well, I ask her out every other day, and she seems like she's totally fine with it because she said yes. Understand, guys, women, yes, they can speak up and they could say, hey, this is too much. But as I've said before in the show, they've probably done that in the past and it didn't go well. So you as a guy just have to know that you err on the side of being patient over rushing in too quickly. Being patient, you're going to have a better chance of a woman being able to come to terms with the idea that she actually wants to see you versus just being agreeable because she doesn't want to hurt your feelings. And yes, women to this day will still say yes to your idea and yes to seeing her and yes to texting her all the time because they don't want to hurt your feelings, even though it's not what they actually need. The fact that she stopped being interested after 5 days shows that in spite of what he thought in terms of how often he should be able to see her, that wasn't a good plan. But she's not going to come forth and say, hey, as much as I like you, I don't want to see you every day, because saying that sounds mean and it sounds stupid, because she's like, but I like seeing this guy. Why would I be bothered by seeing him all the time? Because during the building attraction phase, that can actually kill off her interest. But she's not going to know that because most women don't study this stuff like I do, you know? So then he says, however, there was an underlying issue when it comes to texting. Here we go. She'd often take hours to reply. And to be fair, she'd be quite busy at work and she works a physical job. So I didn't question it to her, but it was always in the back of my mind. So what he's actually saying is, I wanted to text her all the time, but I couldn't do that because she would wait to text me back for hours on end. The reason she was doing that, for one, he says, because she was busy. Yeah, women, when they're not on their phones, they have a life outside of you. So this is why it's better to text her only for dates, because then she has time, when you're not texting her all the time, to think more about you. When you're in front of her face trying to text her all the time, again, that becomes a feeling of, it's not my choice to contact him. He's making it a thing where I have to do that. All right. And so you got to understand that most women don't want you texting nonstop. The only time that men seemingly have an issue with texting is when they're the ones doing all the texting. And as I've said before, guys should not be doing all the texting. You should be only texting to ask for dates and then leaving her the heck alone. And then if she reaches out to you and initiates a text first, totally fine to respond back to her. But you being the one being like, I want to sit here and talk to her and I can't stop myself. Oh my God, you're not showing self-control and you're not being patient and you're not allowing her to come to you, because we want her ultimately to be chasing you. If she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you. But if you're the one that's constantly going towards her, then you're going to lose her, as this guy did. So then he says, she would sometimes take a long time to reply, even if she was at home, which worried me slightly, but I looked past it due to how well our dates were going. Well, no, when she got home from work, the last thing that she wants to do is to have to text the guy back, that she just met that's texting her all the time. Because again, it becomes a thing where she feels like she has to. We want women to feel like it's their choice to reach out. And they don't get that feeling if you're the one always reaching out. I have a whole book about this on my website called Texting Women Like a Boss. And one of the key things I talk about is that you texting a woman nonstop is never going to be the thing that's going to keep her around. Too many guys have written me over the years saying, I was texting her all the time and then she went ghost. Nobody's seeing the pattern here, that texting all the time does not actually equate with a woman liking you or building interest. If anything, it kills off her attraction. So then he says, on the 5th date, we got drinks, and it was clear by this point that there was sexual chemistry. She invited me back to her place where we got intimate, which again went very well, according to him. And then we laid in bed together at the inn for about 30 minutes before I had to leave, as it was getting really late and she had work early in the morning. I offered to leave at one point, and she said, I don't want you to go. This is the best bit. And then cuddled up closer to me. The next day, it seemed fine over text. So what's he do? Okay, so picture this, right? They went on a date, had a good time, went home, hooked up, had a good time, and then he leaves and then is now reaching out to her. So here's what's bad about that. At the moment that he left, she was probably thinking, oh, that was such a great time. I had such a fun night with him. Oh my God, I wonder when I'm going to see him. And then that was interrupted by him texting. And so she was going into the thought process of missing him and going to the thought process of reminiscing and going to the thought process of like, oh my God, I don't know when. And here's what guys don't get is that her wondering about you, her not knowing when she's going to hear from you, that is all an important part of the attraction process for women. If you become too predictable in you contacting her and you're texting and her seeing you, that is very boring for women. And that can cause them to lose interest. Because here's the thing, guys wonder about, how can I be a more exciting guy? How can I not be boring? You know how you be less boring? Very, very simple. Just don't contact her all the time, because she'll play the games in her head about, I wonder where he's at. I wonder what he's up to. I wonder why he's not calling me. And that part will keep you not boring, even if all you're doing is sitting home twiddling your thumbs. And too many guys think that they have to do the most and they have to be there nonstop and they have to constantly contact her. And I'm telling you, all this action that you're doing is actually causing women to lose interest faster versus giving her some space and time to wonder, are you out with other women? Are you doing some other job? Are you even thinking about her? Is she doing a good enough job to keep you around? Like, these are things that as men want certainty. Men want certainty because how we operate is we need things to be certain in order for us to know the next move to make. Women don't build attraction through certainty. I know you're probably weirded out by that, but it's true. When women are too certain of your like for them and are too certain that you're going to call them or text them at certain times, you become very boring. It causes them to lose interest and you lose out on that woman. And it sounds dumb. And when I tell that to men, they think, but if I don't let her know certain things, I'm not being honest and what if this is that? You can run your program how you're running it, but is it working? Is it effective? Or could you stand to be a little bit more patient and maybe not let her know every single thing about you? And could you end up getting better results by doing that? It's something to test out, because if what you're doing now isn't working, testing out other things is a better way to go. So anyway, he says, let's see. After this, though, we were communicating like normal. Both said we enjoyed the night before. The day after, she was meant to leave to stay at her female friend's house, which is 2 hours away from us, for 2 nights. I got a morning text, and then, this sounds really whiny, and then I didn't hear from her until 9 p.m. Oh no, you didn't hear from a woman all day long. I've literally gone 3, 4, 5 days without texting a woman after a date. And you know what happened when I finally reached out to her? She was happy to hear from me, and she still liked me, and she still wanted to go on a date. So this panic this guy has about, oh my God, if I don't hear from her for 12 hours straight, then she must not like me. This is where our anxiety kicks in, guys. This is where we start thinking, because you're trying to use her texting you as a radar for certainty. Oh, if I hear from her all day, then I know she likes me. Guy, as I said before, the way you're able to tell that a woman likes you is that when you ask her on a date, she says yes. And by the way, you shouldn't be asking for dates every other day. You should be asking a woman out once a week for the first 3 months. And then if she happens to suggest doing any more dates than that, then you can decide at your leisure if you want to do that or not. But you asking her out every other day, no bueno, okay? But yeah, if you're asking women out in the right way, then anytime you would ask her out that once a week and she said yes, you'd know you're good. Versus you trying to text her nonstop, you're doing that as a means to get certainty about her like for you, and yet all it's actually doing is killing her interest on the other end. So then he says, let's see. So I didn't hear from her. The next day, no reply at all. So I didn't message her, not wanting to double text. Although I messaged her the following morning saying, "Good morning. I hope you're okay," after not hearing anything overnight. So this guy technically double texted, which is also something you should not be doing. So then he says, she replied saying, quote, "It's been fun getting to know me and I'm a great guy," etc., etc. But she said she feels like something is missing romantically. You know, this struck me like a bullet, to be honest, as I didn't expect this at all. I closed the conversation saying it was nice to meet her and I wish her all the best, to which she said, "It was not my fault. It's just that her mind isn't in it at all." Well, actually, it is his fault because he made a bunch of moves that to be fair, he's not aware of this stuff. He's not aware that contacting her all the time and asking her out every other day and trying to talk to her about feelings and stuff like that are things that make women lose interest. Most guys at his age of 22 do not know that. I certainly didn't know that at 22. I was just starting to learn this stuff at 21 and didn't really start to really kick in gear until like 23, 24, and then really went to overdrive at like 29, 30, you know? So I was a late bloomer to the game of knowing all this stuff. And some of you guys are watching this right now and you're not even aware that these are mistakes. You're just thinking, well, if I text her all the time and she texts me back, that must be totally fine. Women are always going to follow your lead, and more often than not, they're not going to try to be confrontational. This is why women ghost, because they don't know how to tell you, "Hey, I like you, but stop texting me." They don't know how to tell you, "Hey, I really like you, but like seeing you every day is making me lose interest." They don't know that that's what's going on. And even if they do know, it sounds stupid for them to voice that. So they're not going to tell you that. They're just going to suddenly just realize one day, I just can't figure out. I just don't have feelings anymore. And I don't know why. And this is why you as a guy have to up your education on how women function, because they're not going to know and they're not going to be able to tell you the right things. Okay. So that's why I got a whole program at my website called the Get Girls Academy. Very simply put, it is a collection of all the various programs I've put together over the years, from how to do online dating, how to approach women, what kind of dates to go on, the kind of conversations you should have, how to escalate attraction, how to communicate with women. All these various programs are stored in the Get Girls Academy. So you'll get a leg up on your competition and you will stop losing women when they would very much date you. Because this woman was seemingly interested. Met him on Hinge, decided to go on dates with them, hooked up with them, like all was seemingly going well, except for he didn't know that the things he was doing was going to cause her feelings to lose momentum. And you don't help women build momentum by being in front of their face all the time, trying to do your sale on them, you know? Anyway, so he said, "I've been struggling mentally for the past few days, replaying conversations and wondering what I could have done differently. Has anyone been through something similar? Does it get better? She was genuinely everything I've ever searched for and more. And I'm not just saying this because I'm sad. I can't see myself forgetting her." Well, the interesting thing is, you know, I just did a video talking about how I recently went back to homecoming and I reconnected with the woman that was the cause of me starting a whole dating practice in the first place, because we were in college together and she lost interest. I got depressed. I ended up failing out my first senior year of college and had to go back. And so, yeah, I saw her at homecoming. No feelings, nothing. She's a mom now with kids. Everything's totally all underwater in the bridge. You know, I've had my own things going on since then. I've met other people and dated other people. But it's like, but back when it happened, she was like the end all be all. I had to have her. I'm never going to get over her. Oh my God. Life goes on, guys. The woman that you're obsessed about today, if you're smart and you know how to move on with things, she will barely be a thought process at all. Like, all the girls that I've gone on like one or two dates with that afterwards are just kind of flamed out, I don't know their names. I don't think about them. I barely remember what they look like, you know? But that's the foresight you get once you've gone through all this stuff. So for you younger guys watching, I'm trying to tell you, it does get better. And the girl that you're obsessed with now, you will not be obsessed with later on. Life will move on, right? Speaking of moving on, so this guy posted up a later post in Reddit talking about another girl that he's dating now, because he's like, I have to move on. I got to find somebody else. I've already said bye to this chick, but he's still thinking about her, but he's moved on. So I'm going to pull up that nice little thing, because he's going to talk about in this some of the things that he was doing with this previous girl in contrast to the girl he's dating now, right? So let me go ahead and get into that one here. Let me pull this up. Let's see here. All right. So this is the updated one. So he says, started dating a new girl, but not sure if I'm over my last date. The girl from the previous post. So he says, hey, you guys may recognize my story from the previous one. About 3 weeks ago, I was broken up by a girl I went on 5 dates with. Long story short, she checked all of my boxes and added even more. And I fell for her very hard until the day she ended things out of the blue. They say, when you know, you know. And I thought I knew we were great for each other. I'm still extremely attached to her, but I took the advice from my old post to start dating and meeting new people. Well, for what I'll say this, the whole when you know thing, that's all cute and all, but until you actually get them into a relationship, it's just your brain saying there's a lot of hope in this one. But this is where guys trip themselves up. See, I come from the thought process now of like, when I meet somebody, my process is like, okay, she seems cool, but I need to learn a lot more about her because outside of her having a nice boobs and a butt and smelling good, like I don't know her history. I don't know her personality yet. I don't know what she's into. So there's hope here, but let me do my due diligence before I just outright say, yep, she's the one. Now, again, he's a younger dude. I can only talk about him so much and browbeat him so much because as a younger dude, I also had those thoughts like, oh, this girl likes me. Yay, it's going to totally work out. Sorry to say, guys, more often than not, for most of you guys, dating is going to be a numbers game. You're going to have to date quite a few people. The nice thing is, as you get to learn more about the ins and outs of women and what they need and what they desire and how attraction actually works, then it'll be a safe bet that if you go on a date with so-and-so and you really like her, you can make it happen. But not if you're trying to force your agenda, which we'll get into shortly. So then this guy says, anyway, I went on a date with this new girl. She's 20, about a week ago, and she has since suggested both the second and third date. So this girl is now coming to him. What do I always say? If she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you. Why? Because she's too busy thinking about ways to be with you to think about ways to get rid of you. He says, we both live in the same town in London, so it's very convenient. First date went very well. We got along and kissed a few times, and I walked her back to hers from the pub that we had drinks in. So already on the first date, I don't know at what point he started kissing the previous girl, but on this first date, they're already kissing and making out, right? So she's already showing strong signs that she likes this guy. Now, again, just because a woman's showing strong signs in the beginning, that does not mean that you automatically assume, yep, she's the girlfriend. She's already seen everything she needs to see. You still need to treat the girl as if she's on a 3-month program because internally she is. Like the kiss for her, it's like the kissing on this date felt great, but will this kissing be consistently good for the next 3 months? And so women are going to be doing things with you on these first couple of dates. And you're thinking because she's doing them, she's chosen you 100%. But she's doing these things hoping that there's going to be consistency in your actions, in the makeout sessions, in the hookups, but also in the conversation with how you're treating her, with the stories that you're telling. Are the stories you're telling on date 1 the same as on date number 9? So she's looking for those things, which is why she could be showing, you're going to be taking in that she's showing high interest, but you can't assume that high interest automatically means she's ready for a relationship after a couple of dates. So then he says the second date also went very well. We did an activity this time, as well as getting drinks after. And then again, I walked her back to hers. She has since suggested the third date, which is happening in the next few days. I've agreed to this to see how things go. So far, so good. Things sound great, right? Let's continue though. He says, however, I'll be honest. I think there might be something missing between us. I'm not sure whether it's because I'm still thinking about the previous girl. It is. This morning, I woke up from a full night dreaming about the previous girl, and I feel extremely guilty that I'm leading this new girl on while still attached to someone else who I don't even speak to anymore. Well, I will say this, and I'm ultimately, guy, if you're dating somebody and you recognize that you're just not feeling a vibe there, or you don't see it going long term, there's nothing that says you have to stick with that choice. It is perfectly fine for you to say, you know what, it's been a good couple of dates, but I'm just not feeling it. So best of luck to you. I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste mine. So let's just say it is what it is, right? So if he's not feeling this girl at all, I would say just, go on to somebody else until you find that thing. But here's the thing. I think we get very fooled by the idea that we have to have heightened feelings and all these butterflies in order to fall for somebody, because that is very much a Hollywood way of thinking about romance. The reality is that in the beginning, as you're getting to know a girl, you should like her enough to want to hook up with her, but you shouldn't be already so enthralled that you're already choosing her. Because like I said, you got to do your due diligence and research just like she's doing hers. You got to look up if what she's saying holds weight, learn more about her history, about how she is with her family. And so, for example, when I'm dating women, it's like if I meet a new girl, I'm excited and I'm like, oh, she has the shell of the person that I want to get with. But I'm able to like temper that and say, okay, and maybe it's because I've had time, I've been dating for a while. I can say objectively, she seems cool, but let me be more level-headed about this because I know that women can, put on a good front for those first couple of dates, but like, at what point am I going to see her yell at a waiter? At what point is she going to tell me some story about her past? It's like, oh my God, I've dated women before, for example, that on the third or fourth date told me, oh yeah, I used to get abused by my exes, but I was also abusing them. Oh my God. So if I had fallen completely head over heels after date 1 or 2, I wouldn't have been waiting around for that story. And then I would have just assumed, oh yeah, well, she probably had a reason to do that. And I'd have been justifying all this stuff versus being like, objectively, that sucks and I'm out, And so I say it because don't think just because you don't have all these butterflies that it doesn't mean that you don't actually have a like for this person, His problem is he's used to being obsessed with the woman as a way of showing that he likes her. But again, that has consequences because that girl that he had the hots for and all the feelings for isn't trying to date him anymore, in part because of all these feelings he had. So as a guy, you got to learn to be more in control with your feelings and your emotions. You got to be able to feel initially that you're going to always have these strong feelings first, but bypass, oh, I feel these things because she looks so hot, and look at, okay, but I really got to get to know her first, and then be able to curtail some of that enthusiasm until you spent more time with her. He's, after 2 weeks with this previous girl, had all these feelings, and that's not enough time to really have all those feelings. But we think it is, and that's how we get burned. So then he says, with the previous girl, I'd get the urge to text her constantly, be with her as much as I can. I'd put so much effort into seeing her, even if I was tired. I'd pick her up and drive her home for our dates, even though it added 2 hours onto my day. And I wouldn't mind in the slightest. With the new girl, I can't really see myself putting much effort in, and I just don't get that urge to see her. Is this normal in a new relationship? Well, one, it's not a relationship. Was it just an unhealthy obsession with the previous girl? I'm quite new to dating, so I'd appreciate any advice on this. So let's contrast what's going on here. With the first girl, what did he say? This is where I talk about the title of the show, which again is How to Treat the Girl You Want Like the One You Don't Want. And even though it sounds confusing, because here's the thing. The girl he wanted, what did he do? He texted her all the time. He was around her all the time. He put in effort. He overextended himself to drive 2 additional hours to go on dates with her. And what happened as a result of all that? She lost interest and tried to put him in the friend zone. Now, let's contrast that with what is he doing with this girl? Not all that stuff. He's asking her on dates to hang out. He's probably texting her whenever to try to ask her for a date. He's on these dates and he's like, he's able to kiss her and do that kind of stuff, but he's not overly enthused or showing all this excitement. And what's the result of that? She's reaching out to him. She's texting him. She's planning dates. She's agreeing to try to help pay for dates. And so this is where guys get mixed up, because on the one hand, like I'm telling you guys this stuff now, you'll see that this guy has a girl that's all over him and he's putting in less effort. And yet as guys, we're taught we need to put in all this effort in order to attract women. But as you can see here, what did putting in all the effort and all the reaching out and planning all these dates get this guy? It got him rejected, versus he's being with his other girl, because he's not as into her, he's being more patient. He's kind of letting things come and go as they please, and she is all over him. But here's the thing guys don't get, is that if he were to apply that behavior that he's giving to the second girl, if he had done all that stuff for the first girl, he would have her. But what happens? Our brains trick us into thinking, but if I'm more patient, if I don't reach out, if I'm not trying to see her all the time, then I'm not going to get her. Because this is where guys' logical brains and analytical thinking messes us up. Because we think in a linear fashion, we think if I do A and B, I'll get C. So we think if I ask her out all the time and text her all the time, she'll see that I like her because of how much effort I'm putting in, and she'll want to see me even more because she'll see that I'm putting in all this effort. And the equation does not work that way for women. The equation for women is if I see a guy texting me all the time and calling me all the time and trying to see me all the time, that equals obsession. That equals neediness. And guys that are like that are very dangerous. I can't see this guy anymore. And so I'm trying to stress to you guys that the patience thing is always going to win out more so than you being on her all the time. And there's always outliers, but I found those outliers that need you to text them and call them all the time are also the ones that probably grew up, didn't get a lot of attention, and are going to be on you being needy and anxious and desperate. And you don't want to date those kind of women. You want to date women that if you don't talk to them for 4 days, they'll be like, I'll just talk to him when he gets to me. Versus, you didn't text me or call me. Oh my God, what's going on? You don't want that energy, you know? So continuing on, this guy says, me and this new girl get along very well and there are no awkward silences. I know she finds me attractive. She's mentioned this to me again, she's coming to him saying, you look attractive and handsome. I don't think the other girl was doing that. Anyway, he says, and she won't stop laughing when we're out together. She's also insisting on paying for the dates every time, which I've turned down and paid for the first two. Kudos. And now she's booked us something very expensive for our third date. She done planned the date, she done paid for it, and it's expensive. She's told her entire family about me, especially her sister, who knows a lot about me. And he says, I'm in a very difficult situation now. Do I continue dating this girl with hopes that the attachment for the previous girl will fade? Or do I make it clear to her so that I don't lead her on anymore? I'd hate her to experience what I did with the previous girl, as it genuinely broke my heart. I can tell she really, really likes me. So I'm feeling very guilty about this already. So here's the thing for this guy, right? Is that he's being made to feel guilty because we've been taught that if you're not openly honest with every single thought that you have to a woman, then you're a slime guy and you should be like, thrown off into the gallows or something like that, right? But here's the thing, guy, is that ultimately this woman is choosing to date him and choosing to go out with him, right? So we're all adults. She's 20, she's an adult. We're making choices, right? So if this guy at some point decides that he doesn't want to date her, that's totally in his right. But what I want you guys at home to see is, again, the fact that this girl is doing the most. She done volunteered to pay for meals and for dates, and she's already talking to her family about him. And at no point in time did he have to push this agenda for her to do this stuff. Because he's kind of sort of feeling her, he's doing all the right moves on the wrong woman. Meanwhile, he did all the wrong moves on seemingly the right woman, and he lost her, right? And so you got to start looking at women. This is why I've said time and time again on this show, you need to treat all women the exact same. No woman you date is better than any other woman. You shouldn't be obsessed with one woman over another. You can be hopeful. You can go out and say, oh my God, I met this girl and she's so good, this and that. But you being overly obsessed and getting too attached to women that have only seen you for a collective of like a week or two, that's going to make you lose out every time. Versus if you're being patient, you're being calm, cool, collected, you're asking her out on dates, but you're not overextending those dates. You're not trying to ask her out nonstop. You're not trying to text her for days on end after the date and send constant good morning and good night texts and try to send her random things. You're going to find that you're going to get better results. So all of us have had the experience of a woman liking us and we're not liking her back that much, and we're trying to figure out ways to get rid of her, right? And so we think, hey, if I just leave her alone or don't talk to her, she'll eventually get the hint. Women that have high interest do not get the hint. And what they will do is instead, they will come more to you. Well, guess what? Women that you like will fall for that same tactic. If you have a woman that likes you and you're just kind of like, but I can take her or leave it. I guess I'll reach out to her for a date. You know what? I'll try to make time for this week, but I'm only going to see her once this week because I got other things going on. That's the energy that all women want, including the ones that you want and are highly interested in. But you're not doing that. What you're doing instead is you're trying to put the most effort into getting the girls that you want, and that is a losing strategy time and time again. Now, if you want a winning strategy, you can go to harrywilmington.com and you can check out my Get Girls Academy, which houses all the programs I've ever put together that will help you get girls, from how to get them when you're dating them online, how to approach them in public, what to do when you call them and contact them for dates, the kind of dates to take them on, how to actually get them into a relationship, how to better communicate with them, how to do conflict resolution, and a variety of other various things like how to get back with women, how to text them properly. Like, these are the skill sets that you need that will that if you learn them properly, you will know how to get any woman, but especially you'll know how to get the ones that you're highly interested in, and you'll apply more patience to your game, which will allow you in the long run to get the women that you actually want. So again, you can check out the Get Girls Academy at harrywilmington.com, right? So anyway, guys, I just want to talk about all that. You know, I got a couple of comments here. Somebody said, just giving you a shout out. Appreciate it. And then another guy said, I found this to be true. Even women do not know that they get annoyed after the constant text messaging, regardless of who starts it. And this is, by the way, why you cannot ask women how to date them, because we've all been trained and programmed to give certain responses that sound good, even if they don't work. So famously for the texting thing, if you were to tell a woman, hey, how would you feel about a guy that you're dating not texting you every day? The answer would be, oh, I wouldn't like that. I would totally think that guy didn't like me anymore. I'd feel some kind of way and I would dump him. But even women don't understand that they're saying that in reference to a guy that they've been dating for a long time or that they're in a relationship with. And so you're going to hear that answer and think, okay, so when I start dating a girl, I need to text her all the time so she knows I like her. But women aren't giving you the time frame for when that's appropriate. And even when you're in a relationship, you shouldn't be initiating text every day. It should be 3 to 1. For every 3 texts she initiates, you initiate 1 text. But in the beginning, when you're first meeting a woman and going out on those first couple of dates, you try to text her every day is advice that's going to get you killed and get her to lose interest, okay? So this is why, as well-meaning as women think their answers are, they are ultimately not helpful. You need to talk to men that are actually successful in dating and relationships in order to get the real intel. And that's what I had to do back in the day. I had to go start looking up guys that had a hand in the game and knew authentically what they were doing. And then when I applied those things, they actually worked to where I could start coming up with my own stuff and combine with their stuff to get a real full picture of what was going to work best for me. And so I now have materials also that are based on my years of experience of dating that can be beneficial to you if you want to take part in those, okay? And so to that, and again, you go to harrywilmington.com, check out my Get Girls Academy. Yes, for those of you that are longtime viewers, my site was introvertdatingsuccess.com, and the program is called the Introvert Dating Success Membership Academy, but I've changed the website name and the course name, but it's still all the same stuff. So if you need help in your dating journey, then the stuff within those programs are guaranteed to help you out. Again, you can check it out at the website. We also have ebooks there, as well as one-on-one coaching that's designed to give you a leg up with your competition, all right? So anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. For those of you that are part of the Get Girls Academy, I'm doing a special a Zoom meetup for members tomorrow, whereby you guys can ask me any question about what you're going through now or what just dating questions you have. And I'm going to answer those questions personally for members of the Get Girls Academy. So if you want to be part of that live stream, which I'm going to be doing more, I'm going to start doing more question and answer live streams over on my platform, because I have a lot of people starting to join and I want to be able to give certain things to members. So if you join that platform, again, it's like $47 a month. You get access to all of my programs, plus you get access to me, and I will answer your emails in a quicker manner, unlimitedly. When you're part of that program, you can cancel anytime. But yeah, so I'm doing that tomorrow. Oh, sorry, tomorrow's Halloween. I'm doing that on Friday for members. So be sure to join at harrywilmington.com, the Get Girls Academy, and you can be part of that stream as well. That's all I got for today, guys. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I will catch you guys on the next show. Thanks for watching, and I'm out.